Hello. So, in just a few minutes, Elon Musk will be joining us here live on stage for a conversation. Rumor has it there are a few things to talk about with him. We will see. But before that, I just want to show you something special. I want you to come with me to Tesla's huge gigafactory in Austin, Texas. So the day before it opened last week, the evening before, I was allowed to walk around it, no one else there. And what I saw there was honestly pretty mind-blowing. This is Elon Musk's famous machine that builds the machine. And his view, the secret to a sustainable future, is not just making an electric car, it's making a system that churns out huge numbers of electric cars with a margin so that they can fund further growth. When I was there, none of us knew whether Elon would actually be able to make it here today, so I took the chance to sit down with him and record an epic interview. And I just want to show you an 8-minute excerpt of that interview. So here from Austin, Texas, Elon Musk. I want us to switch now to thinking a bit about artificial intelligence. I'm curious about your timelines and how you predict, and how come some things are so amazingly on the money and some aren't. So when it comes to predicting sales of Tesla vehicles, for example, I mean, you've kind of been amazing. I think in 2014, when Tesla had sold that year 60,000 cars, you said, 2020, I think we will do 500,000 a year.
Yeah, we did almost exactly 500,000.
5 years ago, last time you came to TED, I asked you about full self-driving, and you said, yep, this very year, where I am confident that we will have a car going from LA to New York without any intervention.
Yeah, I don't want to blow your mind, but I'm not always right.
But so what's the difference between those two? Why has full self-driving in particular been so hard to predict?
I mean, the thing that really got me, and I think is going to get a lot of other people, is that there are just so many false dawns with self-driving, where you think you got the problem, have a handle on the problem, and then it turns out you just hit a ceiling, because if you were to plot the progress, the progress looks like a log curve. So it's like a series of log curves. So most people don't know what a log curve is, I suppose, but
show the shape.
It goes up sort of a fairly straight way, and then it starts tailing off, and you start
and there's a kind of
getting diminishing returns. In retrospect, they seem obvious, but in order to solve full self-driving properly, you have to solve real-world AI. Because you say, like, what are the road networks designed to work with? They're designed to work with a biological neural net, our brains, and with vision, our eyes. And so in order to make it work with computers, you basically need to solve real-world AI and vision. Because we need cameras and silicon neural nets in order to have self-driving work for a system that was designed for eyes and biological neural nets. I guess when you put it that way, it's sort of like quite obvious that the only way to solve full self-driving is to solve real-world AI and sophisticated vision.
What do you feel about the current architecture? Do you think you have an architecture now where there is a chance for the logarithmic curve not to tail off any time soon?
Well, I mean, admittedly, these may be infamous last words, but I actually am confident that we will solve it this year. That we will exceed. You say, like, what the probability of an accident? At what point do you exceed that of the average person?
Right.
I think we will exceed that this year. We could be here talking again in a year. It's like, well, yet another year went by and it didn't happen. But I think this is the year.
Is there an element that you actually deliberately make aggressive prediction timelines to drive people to be ambitious? Without that, nothing gets done. So it feels like at some point in the last year, seeing the progress on understanding that the AI, the Tesla AI, understanding the world around it, led to a kind of an aha moment in Tesla? Because you really surprised people recently when you said probably the most important product development going on at Tesla this year is this robot, Optimus.
Yes.
Is it something that happened in the development of full self-driving that gave you the confidence to say, you know what, we could do something special here?
Yeah, exactly. So, it took me a while to sort of realize this, that in order to solve self-driving, you really needed to solve real-world AI. And at the point at which you solve real-world AI for a car, which is really a robot on four wheels, you can then generalize that to a robot on legs as well. The things that are currently missing are enough intelligence for the robot to navigate the real world and do useful things without being explicitly instructed. So the missing things are basically real world intelligence and scaling up manufacturing. Those are two things that Tesla is very good at, and so then we basically just need to design the specialized actuators and sensors that are needed for a humanoid robot. People have no idea. This is going to be bigger than the car.
But so talk about, I mean, I think the first applications you've mentioned are probably going to be manufacturing, but eventually the vision is to have these available for people at home, correct?
Yes.
If you had a robot that really understood the 3D architecture of your house and knew where every object in that house was or was supposed to be and could recognize all those objects, I mean, that's kind of amazing, isn't it? Like that, the kind of thing that you could ask a robot to do would be what? Like, tidy up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
make dinner, I guess, mow the lawn.
Take a cup of tea to grandma and show her family pictures. And
exactly, take care of my grandmother and make sure, yeah, exactly.
I mean, it could obviously recognize everyone in the home.
Yeah.
Could play catch with your kids.
Yes. I mean, obviously, we need to be careful that this doesn't become a dystopian situation. Like, I think one of the things that's going to be important is to have a localized ROM chip on the robot that cannot be updated over the air, where if you, for example, were to say, stop, 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 that would, if anyone said that, then the robot would stop, type of thing. And that's not updatable remotely. I think it's going to be important to have safety features like that.
Yeah. That sounds wise.
And I do think there should be a regulatory agency for AI. I've said this for many years. I don't love being regulated, but I think this is an important thing for public safety.
And do you think there will be basically, like in say 2050 or whatever, that like a robot in most homes is what there will be, and people will
I think they probably
love
will.
them and count on them. You'll have your own butler, basically.
Yeah, you'll have your sort of buddy robot, probably. Yeah.
I mean, how much of a buddy? How many applications do you thought? Is there, can you have a romantic partner, a sex partner?
I mean,
a lot of
it's probably
people out
inevitable. I mean, I did promise the internet that I'd make cat girls. We could make a robot cat girl. I mean,
be careful what you promise the internet,
So yeah, I guess it'll be whatever people want, really. So.
What sort of timeline should we be thinking about of the first models that are actually made and sold?
Well, the first units that we tend to make are for jobs that are dangerous, boring, repetitive, and things that people don't want to do. And I think we'll have like an interesting prototype sometime this year. We might have something useful next year, but I think quite likely within at least 2 years. And then we'll see rapid growth year over year of the usefulness of the humanoid robots and decrease in cost and scaling up production.
Help me on the economics of this. So what do you picture the cost of one of these being?
Well, I think the cost is actually not going to be crazy high, like less than a car. Yeah.
But thinking about the economics of this, if you can replace a $30,000, $40,000 a year worker, which you have to pay every year, with a one-time payment of $25,000 for a robot that can work longer hours, doesn't go on vacation. I mean, it could be a pretty rapid replacement of certain types of jobs. How worried should the world be about that?
I wouldn't worry about the sort of putting people out of a job thing. I think we're actually going to have, and already do have, a massive shortage of labor. So I think we will have not people out of work, but actually still a shortage of labor even in the future. But this really will be a world of abundance. Any goods and services will be available to anyone who wants them. That it'll be so cheap to have goods and services, it'll be ridiculous.